Mali's decision to request the UN's withdrawal. Mali is a land of breathtaking beauty and profound contradictions. From the rolling dunes of the Sahara to the fertile banks of the Niger River, its history is rich with empires, ancient traditions, and a resilient spirit. But for over a decade, this West African nation has grappled with a persistent challenge, a complex conflict fueled by extremist groups and long-standing grievances. In 2013, with hope for peace flickering, the international community stepped in. The United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali, known as MINUSMA, was deployed with a mandate to protect civilians, promote human rights, and support the peace process. Thousands of peacekeepers, with blue helmets and resolute hearts, arrived on the ground. For years, MINUSMA served as a vital presence in Mali. But recently, a new chapter has unfolded. In a bold move, the Malian government requested the withdrawal of the UN mission. Why did Mali take this controversial step? What lies behind this dramatic shift? In this video, we delve into the complex reasons behind Mali's decision, exploring the frustrations, aspirations, and uncertainties that shaped this pivotal moment in its history. Join us as we unpack the layers of this story, seeking to understand the choices Mali has made and the road ahead for this resilient nation. Key reasons to explore Mali's request for UN withdrawal. 1. Understanding a pivotal moment. This decision marks a significant shift in Mali's relationship with the international community, with potential implications for regional stability and global peace-building efforts. 2. Unpacking complexities. Exploring the reasons behind Mali's request sheds light on internal dynamics, frustrations with perceived limitations of the UN mission, and potential new alliances. 3. Assessing potential consequences. Investigating the security, humanitarian, and political ramifications of MINUSMA's withdrawal helps us anticipate potential risks and opportunities. 4. Informing dialogue and debate. By examining different perspectives, we can contribute to a constructive discussion about peace-building approaches in challenging contexts. 5. Learning from lessons. Analyzing this case can provide valuable insights for the future of UN peacekeeping and international responses to complex conflicts. Mali's turmoil before MINUSMA. A concise overview. What is the full meaning of MINUSMA? United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali. Pre-2012, deep-seated grievances, historical marginalization of northern Tuareg and Arab communities, poverty, climate change, and weak governance fueled discontent. Tuareg Rebellion. In 2012, the National Movement for the Liberation of Azawad, MNLA, launched a rebellion for autonomy in the north. Jihadist infiltration. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, AQIM, and Ansar Dine exploited the instability, gaining control of vast areas and imposing harsh rule. From 2012 to 2013, military coup. Discontent with the government's response to the rebellion led to a military coup in March 2012. Escalation of conflict. Jihadists and rebels seized key cities, including Timbuktu and Gao, threatening Bamako, the capital. Regional and international alarm. Concerns about jihadist expansion and humanitarian crisis prompted regional and international intervention. Key players. Malin government facing internal divisions and a rapidly deteriorating security situation. Tuareg rebels. MNLA's initial demands shifted, with some factions aligning with jihadists, others seeking autonomy negotiations. Jihadists, Akim and Ansar Dine aimed to establish an Islamic state and expand their influence. Regional organizations, ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States, led diplomatic efforts and deployed a military intervention force, AFISMA. International community. UN Security Council authorized a peacekeeping mission, MINUSMA, to stabilize Mali and support the peace process. Consequences. Severe humanitarian crisis, millions displaced, food insecurity, human rights abuses. Rise of jihadist threat. Northern Mali became a haven for extremist groups. Fractured political landscape. Deepened divisions within Malian society and leadership. This complex pre-crisis context set the stage for the UN's arrival in 2013, with the ambitious goal of restoring peace and stability in a deeply troubled nation. MINUSMA's initial goals and objectives: building peace in a fragile context. When the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali, MINUSMA, deployed in 2013, it arrived with a multi-pronged approach to address the country's multifaceted crisis. Here's a breakdown of its key initial goals and objectives. Security. stabilizing the north, counteracting insurgent groups, and securing liberated territories to prevent their reoccupation, protecting civilians, preventing human rights abuses, and providing physical security against violence and armed attacks, supporting Malian security forces, training, equipping, and mentoring Malian troops to eventually assume full responsibility for security. Political process, facilitating dialogue and reconciliation, supporting negotiations between the Malian government, Tuareg rebels, and other stakeholders to reach a lasting peace agreement, promoting democracy and good governance, assisting with holding credible elections, strengthening institutions, and combating corruption. Humanitarian assistance, coordinating aid delivery, working with humanitarian organizations to ensure vital assistance reaches displaced populations and communities affected by the conflict, protecting human rights, monitoring and reporting on human rights violations, advocating for accountability, and promoting respect for human rights and international law. Development, supporting long-term stability, addressing underlying causes of conflict like poverty, marginalization, and lack of economic opportunities. Promoting sustainable development, investing in infrastructure, education, and healthcare to strengthen communities and prevent future conflict. Challenges and adaptations. Minusma's initial goals were ambitious and faced numerous challenges, including the evolving security landscape, complex political dynamics, and limited resources. Over time, the mission has adapted its strategies, evolving towards a more political focus on supporting the implementation of the 2015 peace agreement and strengthening Malian state authority. This initial set of goals and objectives painted a broad picture of Minusma's aspirations, laying the groundwork for its complex and ongoing mission in Mali. Minusma's mixed record, successes and challenges in Mali. Early successes. Stabilization in the north. Minusma's presence helped drive back Islamist rebels from major cities, providing initial stability to previously occupied areas. Facilitation of peace agreement. The mission played a crucial role in bringing diverse Malian actors to the negotiating table, culminating in the 2015 Algiers Agreement. Protection of civilians. Minusma deployed personnel across vast areas, deterring violence and providing a measure of security for communities, especially in major towns. Persistent challenges. Evolving security landscape. Jihadist groups fragmented and adapted, launching attacks outside the north, stretching Minusma resources and highlighting the mission's limitations. Implementation of peace agreement. Progress on disarmament, power sharing, and transitional justice has been slow and uneven, fueling frustration among communities and hindering lasting peace. Limited effectiveness in central Mali. Intercommunal violence escalated in central Mali, an area initially outside Minusma's primary focus, demonstrating the mission's struggle to address the conflict's multifaceted nature. Accusations of misconduct. Allegations of sexual abuse and misconduct by peacekeepers cast a shadow on the mission's reputation and eroded trust among local populations. Adapting to a volatile situation. Given these challenges, Minusma has adjusted its approach, focusing on supporting Malian forces, advocating for political solutions, and addressing human rights concerns. However, questions remain about the mission's long-term effectiveness and its ability to truly address the root causes of Mali's instability. This brief overview captures the complexities of Minusma's experience in Mali, highlighting both its initial successes and the ongoing challenges that shape its present and future. Government dissatisfaction with Minusma, United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali. Interview excerpts. Government official 1 said, "For years, we've placed our trust in Minusma to secure our territory and protect our people, but the attacks continue. Terrorists roam freely in vast areas, and civilians bear the brunt of the violence. We haven't seen the tangible results we were promised." Analyst 2 said, Minusma's mandate restricts its operations to certain areas, leaving large swathes of the country vulnerable. This allows militant groups to exploit these gaps and launch attacks with impunity. We need a more mobile and adaptable mission that can respond effectively to the evolving threat. Government official 3 said, the peace agreement negotiations facilitated by Minusma took years, yet implementation remained sluggish. Key provisions like disarmament and security sector reform haven't progressed sufficiently, breeding disappointment and fueling instability. These visuals provide a glimpse into the concerns highlighted by Malian officials. The perceived lack of control over vast territories and continued violence, coupled with slow progress on the peace agreement, have undoubtedly contributed to Mali's decision to request the UN's withdrawal. Government official said, "We value international cooperation, but it must be effective and respectful of our sovereignty. We believe Mali's future needs to be shaped by Malians, with solutions tailored to our specific context. It's time for a new chapter in our security journey." The Malian government's dissatisfaction with MINUSMA's effectiveness forms a key pillar behind its request for the mission's withdrawal. We'll delve deeper into these concerns and explore alternative solutions in the coming sections. Addressing accusations of UN interference in Mali. Beyond concerns about effectiveness, accusations of UN interference have also fueled Mali's request for MINUSMA's withdrawal. Let's unpack these complex claims and examine different perspectives. Presenting accusations. Government officials said, certain aspects of MINUSMA's activities have been perceived as an overreach. We've seen instances where the mission seems to be dictating internal political processes or exerting undue influence on our security decisions. This undermines our sovereignty and creates resentment among the population. Local activists said, many communities feel the UN presence has imposed an external agenda, neglecting local voices and concerns. There's a lack of transparency and communication, leading to suspicions about hidden motives and mistrust towards the mission's intentions. Media analysts said, it's important to acknowledge that accusations of interference are complex and often arise from misunderstandings or differing interpretations of mandates. However, it's equally crucial to recognize that the UN must be sensitive to these concerns and ensure its actions uphold Malian sovereignty and respect local sensitivities. Exploring counterpoints. UN spokesperson said, MINUSMA operates within a strictly defined mandate approved by the Malian government and the UN Security Council. Our actions are aimed at supporting peace-building efforts and strengthening Malian institutions, with full respect for national sovereignty. Security experts said, while concerns about interference deserve attention, dismissing all accusations as unfounded wouldn't be fair. Both the UN and the Malian government need to engage in open communication and address genuine grievances to rebuild trust and ensure effective collaboration. Navigating accusations of interference remains a significant challenge in the evolving relationship between Mali and the UN. As we move forward, finding common ground based on mutual respect and addressing underlying concerns will be crucial for any future security arrangements in Mali. Presenting different perspectives on accusations of UN interference in Mali. Accusations of UN interference in Mali's internal affairs have become a key factor in the request for MINUSMA's withdrawal. Let's explore diverse perspectives on these claims, examining viewpoints from the UN, independent observers, and the Malian government. The UN perspective. UN spokesperson said, MINUSMA operates within a strictly defined mandate approved by the Malian government and the UN Security Council. Our actions are aimed solely at supporting peace-building efforts and strengthening Malian institutions, with full respect for national sovereignty. UN experts said, while some activities might appear intrusive, they often stem from genuine attempts to address complex issues like arms control or human rights violations. Misunderstandings and differing interpretations of mandates can sometimes contribute to perceptions of interference. Independent observer perspectives. International analysts said, certain aspects of MINUSMA's engagement, particularly in political processes, can create an impression of overreach. Transparency and open communication with local communities are crucial to avoid fostering resentment and suspicion. Local activists said, many communities feel excluded from UN decision-making and lack trust in its neutrality. Increased engagement with local voices and addressing specific concerns about land rights or resource management can help rebuild trust. Malian government perspective. Malian officials said, there have been instances where UN recommendations seem to infringe upon our internal political processes or dictate security strategies. This undermines our national sovereignty and breeds frustration among the population. Security experts said, collaboration between the UN and Malian government should be based on mutual respect and understanding of priorities. Joint planning, capacity building, and addressing genuine concerns about interference can pave the way for a more effective partnership. Navigating accusations of interference remains a significant challenge for the UN in Mali. Finding common ground, fostering open communication, and addressing underlying concerns will be crucial for any future security arrangement or continued UN engagement in the country. Exploring Mali's shift towards Russia and the Wagner Group. Another critical factor at play in Mali's request for Minusma's departure is its recent shift towards closer cooperation with Russia, particularly the controversial Wagner Group. Let's delve into the reasons behind this move and its potential implications. Drivers of the shift. Dissatisfaction with Minusma. We've already discussed Mali's concerns about Minusma's perceived shortcomings in addressing security challenges. Russia, on the other hand, promises a more aggressive approach, which seems to appeal to the Malian government. Geopolitical realignments. Mali's decision can be seen within the context of a broader global trend, with some African nations seeking alternative partners beyond traditional Western allies. Russia actively exploits this sentiment, offering military support and diplomatic backing. Economic opportunities. Russia also presents certain economic opportunities for Mali, such as access to mining resources and potential investments. This can be appealing to a nation facing economic challenges. Concerns and risks. Human rights concerns. The Wagner Group has a well-documented history of human rights abuses and various conflicts. Their presence in Mali raises concerns about potential violations and a decline in human rights protections. Increased international tensions. Mali's shift towards Russia can exacerbate existing tensions between the West and Russia, potentially destabilizing the region further and attracting closer scrutiny from the international community. Unproven effectiveness. While Russia promises a decisive approach, its long-term effectiveness in combating Mali's complex security challenges remains unproven. There's a risk of repeating past mistakes with short-term solutions leading to long-term problems. Alternative solutions and uncertain future. Emphasis on Malian ownership. Ultimately, any lasting solution for Mali's security must be Malian-owned and driven. Strengthening Malian security forces, addressing underlying grievances, and promoting national reconciliation are crucial for long-term stability. International engagement. The international community can still play a constructive role by engaging with Mali in an open and respectful dialogue, addressing its concerns while offering alternative solutions that uphold human rights and respect sovereignty. Uncertain future. With a new chapter unfolding in Mali's security landscape, the impact of its shift towards Russia and the Wagner Group remains uncertain. Only time will tell whether this move delivers on its promises or leads to unforeseen consequences. Analyzing the influence of Mali's shift to Russia on Minusma withdrawal. Here's how Mali's move towards Russia and the Wagner Group might have influenced its decision to request the UN's withdrawal. Increased confidence and leverage. Alternative security partner. Russia's promise of a more aggressive approach against jihadist groups might have given Mali's government a sense of increased security confidence, potentially reducing its reliance on Minusma. Reduced dependence on UN funding. Russian military support or potential deals could lessen Mali's financial dependence on UN peacekeeping assistance, making the withdrawal request more financially sustainable. Geopolitical positioning and signaling. Distancing from the West. Mali's shift towards Russia can be seen as an attempt to diversify its international partnerships and distance itself from the perceived limitations of Western-backed initiatives like Minusma. Internal political messaging. Appealing to a growing sentiment of anti-Western sentiment within the Malian population, the government might view the withdrawal request as a way to project strength and national sovereignty. Friction with UN mandates and tensions. Clashing strategies. The more aggressive approach promised by Russia could clash with the UN's focus on human rights and civilian protection, creating friction within the mission and fueling tensions with the Malian government. Limited UN effectiveness. Perceived shortcomings of Minusma in addressing security challenges, especially in central Mali, might have encouraged the government to seek alternative solutions offered by Russia. However, it's important to remember that the decision to request Minusma's withdrawal likely arose from a confluence of factors, and attributing it solely to the Russia-Wagner Group shift would be an oversimplification. Other contributing factors include long-standing dissatisfaction with Minusma's perceived limitations, frustration with slow progress on the peace agreement, accusations of UN interference in internal affairs, domestic pressure from certain factions within Malian society. Therefore, while the Russia-Wagner Group shift undoubtedly played a role in influencing the decision, it's crucial to analyze it within the broader context of Mali's complex political and security landscape. The potential for increased violence and instability in Mali. Examining the risks. With Mali's request for Minusma's withdrawal raising concerns, the potential for increased violence and instability in the region looms large. Let's delve into the key risk factors and explore possible scenarios. Security vacuum and jihadist threat. Power struggles. Minusma's departure could create a power vacuum vacuum, leading to internal struggles within the Malian security forces and potentially allowing jihadist groups to exploit the vulnerabilities. Territorial expansion. Jihadist groups like Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, JNIM, and Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, ISGS, could exploit the weakened security situation to expand their territories and launch more attacks. Intercommunal violence. Existing tensions between different ethnic groups, particularly in central Mali, could flare up in the absence of a neutral peacekeeping force, triggering further violence and displacement. Humanitarian crisis and fragility. Civilian protection. With reduced UN presence, civilians, especially women and children, could become more vulnerable to attacks and human rights abuses by armed groups. Limited humanitarian access. The withdrawal could hinder the delivery of vital humanitarian aid to conflict-affected areas, exacerbating food insecurity and health crises. Fragile statehood. The combination of increased violence, displacement, and a weakened government could further destabilize Mali's already fragile statehood, potentially leading to regional spillover effects. Potential scenarios and mitigating measures. Controlled transition. A well-coordinated and planned drawdown of Minusma, with a gradual transfer of security responsibilities to a capable Malian army, could minimize the risk of immediate chaos. Regional cooperation. Enhanced regional cooperation among neighboring countries, with support from the African Union and international partners, could help contain the spread of violence and instability. Addressing root causes. Focusing on long-term solutions that address the underlying causes of conflict, such as poverty, marginalization, and lack of governance, is crucial for building lasting peace and preventing future violence. While the future of Mali remains uncertain, the potential risks of increased violence and instability should not be underestimated. Proactive measures, open dialogue, and international cooperation are essential to avert a potential crisis and pave the way for a more peaceful future for Mali and the region. MINUSMA's crucial role in protecting civilians and delivering aid, a humanitarian lens. Beyond its security role, MINUSMA plays a vital role in protecting civilians and delivering humanitarian assistance in Mali. Let's delve into these crucial aspects of the mission and consider the potential consequences of its withdrawal. Protecting civilians. Deterrence and presence. MINUSMA's presence in various regions discourages attacks on civilians and acts as a deterrent to armed groups. Its patrols and observation posts provide a sense of security, especially in vulnerable areas. Human rights monitoring. The mission documents human rights violations, advocating for accountability and raising awareness of abuses against civilians. This pressure incentivizes armed groups to respect basic human rights standards. Community liaison. MINUSMA builds bridges between communities and authorities, fostering dialogue and reducing intercommunal tensions, thereby preventing potential outbreaks of violence. Delivering humanitarian assistance. Facilitating access. MINUSMA secures safe passage for humanitarian workers and supplies, enabling them to reach remote conflict-affected areas where vital aid is desperately needed. Logistics and coordination. The mission provides logistical support for aid delivery, including transportation, communication infrastructure, and coordination with local actors. Protection of humanitarian activities. MINUSMA's presence deters attacks on humanitarian workers and facilities, ensuring they can operate with greater security and deliver assistance unhindered. Potential consequences of withdrawal. Increased vulnerability. Without MINUSMA's protection, civilians face a heightened risk of attacks, displacement, and human rights abuses. This could exacerbate the humanitarian crisis and destabilize communities further. Limited aid delivery. Reduced access to conflict zones and potential security threats could hamper humanitarian operations, leaving vulnerable populations without essential food, water, and medical care. Escalation of violence. The absence of a neutral peacekeeping force could escalate existing tensions and ignite intercommunal violence, leading to greater human suffering and displacement. MINUSMA plays a critical role in ensuring the safety and well-being of Mali civilians, providing them with essential protection and facilitating access to life-saving assistance. Its withdrawal without proper precautions could risk significant humanitarian repercussions, deepening the crisis and jeopardizing the fragile peace in the region. In the shadow of Mali's request for MINUSMA's withdrawal, a chorus of vulnerability rises. Let's shine a light on the most fragile populations and explore the potential consequences if the Blue Helmets leave. A tapestry of vulnerability. Displaced children. Imagine thousands of children ripped from their homes, tossed into an uncertain future of displacement camps, and missed schooling. MINUSMA provides them with essential protection, education, and hope. Women under threat. Without the shield of Minuma patrols, women become easy targets for sexual violence and exploitation. The mission holds these perpetrators accountable and empowers women through community dialogues. Marginalized communities. In remote areas, minorities often face the brunt of conflict. Minuma facilitates humanitarian access, mediates intercommunal tensions, and advocates for their basic rights. A looming abyss. Escalating violence. With the peacekeeping force gone, fragile security gains could crumble. Jihadist groups may exploit the vacuum, leaving civilians at the mercy of their brutality. Aid delivery in peril. The lifeline of humanitarian assistance could be severed. Without secure access to aid workers and vital supplies, malnutrition, disease, and preventable deaths could surge. Erosion of hope. For many, Minuma represents a flicker of hope for a peaceful future. Its withdrawal could extinguish that fragile flame, plunging communities deeper into despair and fueling radicalization. Voices from the vulnerable. The child soldier said, "They took me away, made me fight. But at the camp, with Minuma, I play again, I learn. Please, don't take them away." The woman leader said, "Before, fear lived with us. Now, Minuma patrols protect us. Without them, the shadows return, and who will stand with us?" An elder from a conflict zone said, "We've known war, but peace seemed possible. Don't leave us to drown in the old wounds." Beyond the debate, the decision to withdraw Minuma is complex, but amidst the political calculations, the needs of Mali's most vulnerable must not be lost in the noise. Their voices, their plight, deserve to be heard and their vulnerability acknowledged. As we navigate the uncertain future of Mali's security, let us remember, peace is not simply the absence of conflict, it's the chorus of vulnerability silenced, replaced by the melody of hope. Let's ensure that those echoes of fragility resonate loudest, guiding us toward solutions that prioritize the safety and well-being of all Malians, especially the most vulnerable. Mali's withdrawal request, ripples in international relations. Mali's request for Minuma's withdrawal sends ripples through the already turbulent waters of international relations. Let's dive into the potential consequences for Mali's ties with other African nations and the broader international community. Impact on African relationships. Divisions within ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has been a key player in stabilizing Mali and the region. While some members might support Mali's decision, others could view it as undermining regional security efforts, potentially causing diplomatic friction. Settling a precedent. The Malian case could become a precedent for other African countries, raising concerns about potential domino effects and further challenges to existing peacekeeping missions. Shifting alliances. Mali's recent move towards Russia might be viewed with suspicion by some African nations with closer ties to Western powers, potentially straining partnerships and creating a more complex geopolitical landscape. Impact on global standing. Increased scrutiny. The international community, including the UN Security Council, will likely scrutinize Mali's security plans and human rights record more closely, potentially leading to pressure and withholding of certain forms of aid. Diplomatic isolation. While not an immediate risk, prolonged tensions with major international partners could lead to a degree of diplomatic isolation, hindering Mali's access to international forums and cooperation on other critical issues. Reputational damage. The withdrawal could be seen as a setback for Mali's international image, potentially affecting foreign investment and economic partnerships. Potential opportunities. Strengthening regional partnerships. If the withdrawal is handled collaboratively with regional partners, it could present an opportunity for ECOWAS to play a more prominent role in Malian security, fostering greater regional ownership and cooperation. Boosting domestic legitimacy. The Malian government might view the withdrawal as a way to assert national sovereignty and regain public trust, although its success in achieving this objective depends on effectively filling the security vacuum and ensuring improved internal stability. Redefining international partnerships. Mali could explore alternative partnerships with emerging powers beyond traditional Western allies, potentially diversifying its diplomatic and economic relations, though this path also comes with its own risks and uncertainties. Mali's decision to request Minuma's withdrawal has far-reaching implications for its international relations. Navigating these consequences will require careful diplomatic maneuvering, addressing regional concerns, and demonstrating a commitment to both national security and international cooperation. The future of Mali's relationships with other African nations and the global community, therefore, remains uncertain, hanging in the balance of its choices and actions in the coming months and years. Mali's request for MINUSMA withdrawal, a web of complexity. As we've seen, Mali's decision to request the UN peacekeeping mission's departure is anything but a simple issue. It's a tangled web woven from diverse threads, each contributing to a situation with no easy answers. Dissatisfaction with MINUSMA's effectiveness, perceived shortcomings in addressing security challenges, limited progress on the peace agreement, and accusations of foreign interference have fueled frustrations within the Malian government and parts of the population. Shifting alliances, Mali's recent move towards Russia and the Wagner Group offers an alternative security approach, but raises concerns about human rights violations, increased tensions with the West, and potential long-term risks. Humanitarian and security risks. The withdrawal's potential consequences are worrisome. Increased violence, instability, and humanitarian crises are real threats, particularly for vulnerable populations who rely on MINUSMA's protection and essential aid. International relations. Ripples extend beyond Mali's borders. Potential friction with other African nations, diplomatic isolation, and a tarnished international image are among the possible consequences on the global stage. Complexity reigns. We must resist the temptation to oversimplify this situation. Understanding the diverse perspectives, internal dynamics, and regional context is crucial. Mali's path forward won't be paved with one-size-fits-all solutions. Dialogue and understanding needed. Instead of quick judgments and finger-pointing, this moment calls for open dialogue and a genuine effort to understand the complex challenges facing Mali and the region. Only through informed conversation and collaboration can we hope to find sustainable solutions that prioritize peace, security, and the well-being of all Malians. Remember, Mali's future is not written in stone. It remains to be shaped by choices yet to be made and actions yet to be taken. By striving for understanding and engaging in constructive dialogue, we can contribute to a brighter future for this nation and the wider region. Your thoughts matter. Engaging with Mali's complex future. Throughout this exploration of Mali's request for MINUSMA's withdrawal, we've touched upon many critical angles, highlighting the multifaceted nature of this situation. But your perspective matters too. We want to hear your thoughts and engage in a constructive dialogue about the challenges and potential solutions facing Mali. Here are some questions to guide your reflections. Do you think Mali's decision to request MINUSMA's withdrawal is justified? Why or why not? What are your biggest concerns about the potential consequences of the withdrawal? If you were in the Malian government's shoes, what alternative approaches would you consider for addressing security challenges? How can the international community play a constructive role in supporting peace and stability in Mali? What additional perspectives or information do you think are important to consider when analyzing this situation? We encourage you to share your honest opinions and thoughtful suggestions in the comment section below. We will be actively reading and engaging with all of your responses, creating a space for collaborative understanding and a forum for ideas to circulate. Remember, we're all part of this journey together. Let's keep exploring, learning, and growing. Until next time, stay curious and keep spreading those positive vibes. Thanks for joining in. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment, and hit subscribe to stay tuned for more exciting content coming your way.